is CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Najahe Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. I talk with the winner of Survivor in just a few minutes, but first, let's take a look at your top stories. The Alexander twins, accused of sex crimes and trafficking women, are now in federal custody. This happened as they were attempting to bond out of court today for their state charges. CBS News Miami's Steve Majuri was in the courtroom. He has the latest on this case.
Lawyers for Alon and Orrin Alexander will now have to wait until after a federal detention hearing on Friday to find out if their clients can be released before trial. The twins face federal sex trafficking charges on top of sexual battery charges in Florida and would have to bond out of both federal and state custody.
It's not that we plan on bonding out after the federal is resolved, Your Honor.
For their Florida charges, the brothers each agreed to post a $25,000 personal surety bond, along with putting up a combined $5 million bond from their father's house. They'd both be under house arrest as well. The lawyers are confident they can get them out of custody while awaiting trial.
We're going to let it play out, and we're going to have a hearing, and yes, we are confident.
But after the twins' hearing was their friend Ohad Fisherman, who is also attempting to get out of jail while awaiting trial. His lawyers say he has posted bond, and they'll be back in court tomorrow to finalize some paperwork. But his lawyers are still unsure at this point when he will be released.
And that was Steve Majuri reporting. The third brother, Tal Alexander, has tried to bond out of federal custody by posting $115 million in equity from family properties, but the judge denied that.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
And taking a live look at downtown Miami after a warm day. Get ready for cooler weather to soon move in. Next weather meteorologist Shane Hinton joins us now. And Shane, you're tracking the timing of it all.
And that's right. We have some changes on the way for the weekend. But I love that we showed you that sunny shot of Miami, because just take a look down here in the Keys. Looks like a spooky movie down there at Mallory Square. They're actually still dealing with a dense fog advisory that's in effect. Very, very peculiar for this time of year and for this long. But we've got some changes on the way. We've got a drying trend that begins today as a cold front is pushing through the area later today, and then our next batch of cooler air is going to arrive as early as Friday night. That's going to lead into a cooler and drier weekend, and then after that we're going to be talking about some isolated holiday week rain chances. Here's a look at the visibility down in the Keys. Still under a mile of visibility in Key West. Normally this is a morning phenomenon, right? Like you have the fog in the morning and then you have a fairly clear afternoon, but that's not the case here. Temperature is still down at 70 degrees in Key West, but 10 degrees warmer than that in Miami. Now that visibility, as we mentioned, is less than a mile, so we have a dense fog advisory until 11 o'clock this evening for the Keys. As we take a look at the fog future tracker, we could see some additional light fog develop for other parts of South Florida overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, but we're not expecting it to be as dense as what we saw this morning, thankfully. And then once that cooler and drier air kind of filters in, it helps to clear out our fog concerns. Here's that cold front I was mentioning, hanging around the Tampa area right now, but it'll quickly push through the area later today. It could spark up a 10 to 20% chance for an isolated shower or storm around dinner time. The likelihood of this right now is showing for parts of South Florida, not really impacting the Keys. But as we make our way into Friday, look at this. It clears out very nicely, and that's going to leave us with plenty of sunshine to close out our work week and heading into the weekend. As we take a look at what we have on tap for the rest of the day, temperatures are slowly going to drop into the lower 70s as we head toward 11 o'clock with that 20 to 10% chance for an isolated shower right around dinner time. Tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up in the lower to mid 60s for most of us, maybe upper 50s in Fort Lauderdale, and maybe even closer to the lower 70s in Marathon. Walking you through the day tomorrow, no rain concerns. I think it's going to be absolutely stunning. Get outside and enjoy it. If not for you, then at least do it for me, okay? 76 degrees by 11 o'clock, but by 2, we're going to be in the lower 80s, which is a little bit warmer than average this time of year for almost all areas. Maybe a tad cooler for parts of like Fort Lauderdale and Key West, but overall, it's going to be a pleasant day. Walking you through the weekend, look at this. We cool down even further into the lower 70s on Saturday and Sunday. And as we head into next week, the holiday week, well, look at this. We do warm back up into the upper 70s with a 20 to 30% chance for some isolated showers, not only on Christmas Eve, but for Hanukkah and Christmas Day as well.
All right, a nice 7-day. Thank you, Shane. Developing now, Luigi Mangione is back in New York City. That's after waiving extradition in Pennsylvania this morning. The 26-year-old suspect was hit with 4 federal charges out of New York. It is for the December 4th killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. CBS News Miami's Bradley Blackburn has the latest.
Luigi Mangione stepped off an NYPD helicopter in a prison jumpsuit and shackles. The suspect in the killing of a UnitedHealthcare CEO now faces 4 federal charges, including murder and stalking. That's in addition to a New York State indictment for murder as an act of terrorism, meaning a crime designed to terrify civilians or influence government.
As we allege, the defendant in that case brazenly shot Mr. Thompson twice in Midtown Manhattan. It was targeted, premeditated, and meant to sow terror.
Mangione's New York defense attorney says the federal government's decision to add charges is, quote, highly unusual and raises serious constitutional and statutory double jeopardy concerns. 26-year-old Mangione is accused of killing Brian Thompson earlier this month in front of this New York hotel. The shooting unleashed a wave of anger directed at the healthcare industry. That anger has generated support for Mangione from people who say the system is broken.
Frustration, anger, and just feeling completely forgotten about by our government.
New York Mayor Eric Adams says support for Mangione sends the wrong message.
This act of terrorism and the violence that stems from it is something that would not be tolerated in the city.
The federal charges could bring the possibility of the death penalty, but prosecutors have not said whether they will pursue that punishment. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
The clock is ticking down to a possible government shutdown just days before the holidays. CBS News Miami's Katrina Kaufman has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Agreement? Is debt ceiling, is this going to be in the new agreement?
House Speaker Mike Johnson did not answer questions Thursday morning, a day after the bipartisan budget deal he negotiated fell apart, moving the country closer to a government shutdown.
We're focused on making sure that doesn't happen, but, we're not the only ones that control that, so we're going to try to get it done today.
The scuttled plan offered tens of billions of dollars to homeowners in flood-devastated communities and the first pay raise for members of Congress in 15 years. President-elect Donald Trump came out against the legislation after a day-long barrage from close ally Elon Musk criticizing it.
House Republicans have unilaterally decided to break an agreement that would provide support for everyday Americans, keep the government open, and avoid a government shutdown. If you break an agreement, you own the consequences.
In Damascus, Virginia, storm victims were counting on this week's congressional spending bill to finally start rebuilding.
It just seems like things just keep happening that, set me back.
In an interview with Fox News Digital Thursday, Trump said, anybody that supports a bill that doesn't take care of the Democratic quicksand known as the debt ceiling should be primaried and disposed of as quickly as possible. He added that House Speaker Johnson, who is up for re-election to the post in a few weeks, will remain Speaker if he acts decisively and tough. Katrina Kaufman, CBS News, Washington.
When we come back, I talk with the winner of Survivor. My interview is next. Joining us now is Rachel Lamont, winner of Survivor 47. Rachel, congratulations.
Thank you.
So how does it feel waking up this morning? You won Survivor. That's huge.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've known for a while, about 6 months, but it is crazy that it's finally here. It's out in the world. I can stop lying about it to everybody I know. It is very, very exciting that this is my reality now, waking up today.
Yeah, that's tough. So you had to keep it a secret for 6 months. What was that like?
I mean, it was almost like playing Survivor again, where you're just always thinking about if I say this, will that imply that? Or maybe I should complain about this. It's just so difficult. I mean, I didn't even tell, my mother didn't know how I did. And so my husband is the only person that I told that I won. And so it was just my sisters were like, I couldn't believe that you kept that from us. We thought that you would slip a little bit or just be more excited. And so, I think I've learned that I'm a pretty good liar after all of this.
Yeah. So speaking to that, what was your strategy? And did you always have a feeling that you had what it takes to win the whole thing?
I mean, first off, I don't think I would have ever even applied if I didn't think that I could win. And so the second I first saw Survivor, which was at some point in 2017, I immediately said, I think this game is for me. I have to try it. And so I definitely always felt like I could win.
So what was your strategy?
Yeah, I feel like my strategy was to be adaptable. You know, I went in thinking I would play like with an alliance. I wanted to be in a solid 3 or 4 person alliance, and that just wasn't how my game went. And I had to really kind of do a 180 and shift the way I thought and become a lot more of like a lone player and get myself to the end of the game without too much help from other people. Just pretty crazy.
It really is. And this is a tough game. I mean, you're dealing with sleep deprivation, hunger, the elements. What was the hardest part for you? And was there ever a point where you thought, I don't know if I can keep pushing through?
You know, I think that the physical part of the game was easier than the mental part of the game. I think that the physical part was so hard in the first like week, your body is in shock. And I never thought that I couldn't do it, but there were days where you're just walking and you're like, my legs feel like anchors. Like I just can't lift them. I'm so sluggish, you know, and eventually you kind of get over that hump.
Rachel Lamont from Michigan, congratulations on winning Survivor.
Thank you.
You only have to wait a few short months until season 48 of Survivor. Stay tuned. It will premiere February 26th. The cosmos appear to be getting ready for the holidays. Look at that shot. It is so beautiful. NASA released 2 new images. One is of a nearby star cluster that remembers almost, it looks like a space wreath. The dark clouds of dust suggest stars are still forming there. The other image looks like a Christmas tree. NASA combined an image from its observatory and other optical data to create this picture. The stars here are also very young. I mean, they're just between 1 to 5 million years old. And that does it for your CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Najahe Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami, and have a wonderful day.